Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
We're going streaking!
Dave's Video Graveyard.
That guy in little clothes. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I'm not a smart man.
Shut up!
One tubby.
What's wrong with him?
My first thought would be alive.
Why so serious?
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hey, Ma! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf!
Of all the radio shows in the world, this is definitely one of them. Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
Okay, you people sit tight, hold the fort, and keep the home fires burning. If we're not back by dawn, call it President.
100.5 WOW FM, Dave's Video Graveyard, and I am back in the chair. I've got to start out by saying a massive thanks to both Paulie and Shannon for looking after my baby while I was away.
Yep.
It didn't have any bruises or cigarette burns, so thanks for looking after my baby. Paulie, how you doing, man?
I hide him well. Yeah, really good.
We are getting a Star Wars movie with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi again, the only good part of the prequel trilogy. How did you take this news, Paulie?
I kind of thought it was coming, but yeah, I'm very happy with it. Obviously, Mandalorian trailer looks amazing.
It certainly does.
Basically, like, if you don't know, there was a Disney 23 Expo on the weekend. Bunch of new stuff sort of dropped for that. A new poster for Rise of Skywalker and a bunch of footage of Rey with a Darth Maul-esque lightsaber, which looked pretty cool. They also dropped a bunch of other Disney stuff because Disney Plus is coming to us in November now, so another streaming thing for everyone to get
That's it.
throw money at. Emma Stone's going to be a punk rock Cruella de Vil.
Not
in
interested.
the prequel to 101 Dalmatians that we obviously needed. There's a Lady and the Tramp TV show, which, you know, unless they be, you know, I want to see the meatball scene in that. Then also there's going to be new Lizzie McGuire, Moon Knight, She-Hulk. Bunch of Disney's just like going, let's just shoot for the anything and let it stick against the wall sort of things. So.
They've really got, like, Disney used to run, they're like, all right, we'll get our machine that prints $100 bills running.
Yeah.
Now they're like, okay, we need our fives all the way through to our hundreds running. We just need to make money off everything and anything.
Well, apparently they're not going to do any R-rated stuff on their streaming service, but they are going to put director's commentary on there, which is like what everyone wants.
Oh, yeah. Exciting times.
And there's going to be a new Breaking Bad movie.
Yeah.
To Netflix in October, so everyone's going nuts about that if you're a Breaking Bad fan, which I am not.
So both that news and this week's cricket scores, both instantly ignored by me on Insta. I was like, I'm not going to like it or anything just so it doesn't come up in my algorithms.
And probably the weirdest news of the week is the Wachowski sisters came out and said, we're going to do another Matrix because why not? Let's give Keanu Reeves more work because he needs it.
We live in a time of unnecessary sequels, so why not? Now, this evening we have, once again, it's time for a guest choice special. And we are joined this evening by the Australian truck driving, horse riding, inked pageant queen, Blayze Williams. How you doing, Blayze?
Not too bad, thanks. Yourself?
Very well. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. You have lived a very wild and crazy life.
Yeah, it's been a little bit different, a little bit all over the place, one extreme to the next.
Yep. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, you basically split your life across three massive facets. You are an inked beauty queen, so you spend your time competing in beauty pageants and doing a lot of tattoo modelling. You are a truck driver as well, which is absolutely amazing given the preconceptions that everyone has of the truck driving industry. And, of course, you're into horse riding and competitive horse riding.
Yeah, I compete and show at an Australian national level, and each one of my horses, well, about three of them, overall performance horses of Australia, meaning that in their each season of showing, they gain the most points out of all the horses in Australia for that breed. And one of them's a 3 times champion. I did all the work myself with that, and like I sort of dedicate, once I dig into something, I dedicate myself to it. And yeah, so I've won a fair bit that I'm proud of, but put a lot of hard work into it.
Nice. What are some of the awards that you've won through your horse riding?
I've won, so I do a thing called Western Pleasure. So there's a variety of sort of like events you can do in it. But I've won.
I'm picturing a cowboy hat.
Yeah. So we've got cowboy hats and chaps and things. So it's not as exciting as rodeo, but it's a little bit slower. But it's probably, I find it as hard as sort of what dressage would be, but it's a little bit slower, and some people find it boring, but I think it's quite intricate and interesting. So I've won things from national titles in various events to the high points of Australia in my divisions, my horses divisions. I've competed in New Zealand on an Australian Trans-Tasman team, and placed top 10 in each and got a reserve champion there, and we were on the winning team, so go Australia for that.
Nice.
You are essentially living the dream of every girl I've ever met, every girl I went to school with.
Yep.
You are a horse girl.
Yeah.
How many horses do you have?
We have 7 at the moment, and we even travel.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, just 7.
One for every... Have you named them after the days?
No. They've all got funny names. You'd laugh at some. One's called Pickles.
Shout out to Pickles.
Yeah.
I'm sure tuned in this evening.
Yeah, and I've had one called Homer as well. So,
nice.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a selection, and yeah, we travel interstate with them, and so I spent. I mean, a lot of my last few years, we've travelled around different states, showing and competing. So even through my school years, I was always away showing horses. So yeah, living every girl's dream.
Excuse the ignorance. Do you buy the horse with the name, or do you name them?
Yeah, so it depends. A lot of the time, you buy the horse with the name. Some people change them, but yeah, we've had a couple from when they've been younger, and we've kept all the names because I generally like them to have funny ones, and I think it's great when they have really people names. Like some of my friends have a horse called Craig.
That's such a horse name.
That is. I would love.
Craig, I know. I'm like, yeah.
It would be funny though, like if that was a racehorse, because you'd hear the caller and it'd be like, because they're always named like the Darkest Night and all these names,
like, and Craig.
And Craig.
Craig's coming up from back.
Now with the modelling and the beauty pageant stuff, you're actually running your own comp now. How do you get in? Well, tell us about you competing first, and then tell us what you've got lined up.
So kind of like everything else in my life, I randomly got into it, and I tried normal pageants, well, like sort of bikini comps years ago. Didn't really like them. I've always been sort of not the size and too short for those sort of ones. So I then sort of gave it up for a couple of years, and then I went to a pub one time, and there was a tattoo model competition on, and they're a lot different. They accept everyone no matter what, and obviously you could have tattoos. And the girls on stage were all about being funny, being out there. They didn't just walk and pose. It was great. So I thought, I'll give it a go one time. And the theme was summer, and I went out in a really nice dress, but then ripped the dress off to have a wife beater, chucked on thongs, and threw Zooper Doopers out in the crowd. So
I would love, you can have this idea. In the future when you compete, right, say it's an Aussie theme or something, I want you dressed like Daryl Braithwaite. I want 2 of your horses with you, and you come out to the horses by Daryl Braithwaite.
Oh, yes.
Or even just compete in any competition, and for no reason at all, ride your horse onto the stage and just act like you didn't do it.
If it helps, I've ridden a stick horse a few times on stage for outfits of choice and things, and I've even made a big cardboard semi-truck before so I'd be a bit silly. Like I've even dressed up as the saw guy and rode a trike on stage, and
oh, nice.
So you get to be a bit more animated with these ones. So yeah.
Now, during the week, whilst doing research in quotation marks, I checked out the feature that was done on you, the Mother Truckers feature. I'm so scared of saying that title on radio.
I know, it's always so iffy.
Vice did a story on you because you are a truck driver.
Yes.
And it's obviously a male-dominated industry. You're changing that. Tell us how you got into that.
Well, this one I really sort of stumbled in. I used to work at just a servo, and, sort of did they started cutting the shifts back, need another job. Friend got me a job just washing trucks, and I thought I was pretty cool getting in the back of the semi-trailers, got to move them around the yard, drove them absolutely terrible when I started, just bunny hopped everywhere because I was small, just bounced around the cab. And then I ended up having to get my licence for the insurance and things like that, and slowly got the hang of it and kind of got the bug from there. And then went, funny enough, I worked in a workshop for a while servicing scissor lifts and boom lifts, thinking, I tried to get a truck driving job, but it was hard.
Yep.
And I'd sort of given up a little bit, so I worked servicing the boom lifts and scissor lifts for about 12 months. And then I sort of went, stuff it, I really, really want a job, asked around more and more, and a friend got me the start, and I started with shipping containers, and oh my God, the first day I'd started, it was the most terrifying thing I ever did. I was like, why have I done this? Like, the first time I ever went by myself, I was like, this is stupid. I should be doing something else. And then now I love it. Like, I can't see myself doing anything else. I think it's great. It's pretty different. But, and then I found sort of because I was only 18, 19, I think, when I was trying to get a job. So I was a girl. I didn't have much experience. I was young. So it was hard to get the start, and if it wasn't for one of my friends getting me the start, I would have never got there. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I drive my car like it has a trailer on it. I can't even back out of the driveway I drive out of every day. What kind of vehicle did you have when you started truck driving?
So I had just I think I had a ute. Oh, yeah, I think I had a Hilux or a Rodeo, just a normal ute. But then I eventually got a little Alto because I wanted to save money and stuff. So I'd get out of the Semi and go in the Alto. So I even took a couple of photos of them next to each other because it just looked ridiculous. And then everyone would say, why you got that? Like, we thought you'd have some like big truck. I've got an F truck as well that tows my horse float, but I don't drive that every day. Yeah. So yeah, it's one extreme to the next a bit.
Now you have your own pageant coming up.
Yes. So that's Miss Ink Beauty Australia. So the title originated from UK. So they're separate pageants, but they actually awarded me the first Miss Ink Beauty Australia in the hope to expand into having the first international beauty pageant for tattooed women. The UK pageant system sort of died off a little bit over there, and I sort of took on the chance to make it something. And now I'm looking at having about 25 girls from around the country compete this Saturday, all the way from brand new girls to some of Australia's elite tattoo models. So pretty excited about that. We've got burlesque performers doing things to routines from Rob Zombie to Post Malone. So I've kept it a bit of mixture there. And so I'm really excited. I think there's over 20, 30 titles and awards. There's even crowd tattoo awards, tattoo vouchers, everything.
What do you think about people who are ginger and really white skinned and have a Will Ferrell tattoo? Can they be going in?
We're all for all tattoos.
You, sir, have a chance.
I am in.
I've been thinking of doing a guy's one, so maybe you might have to enter that one.
Well, if you can get the entire crowd, because of public liability, they'll need to wear welding goggles when I take my top off.
Because I'm like the eclipse of the sun.
I'm beyond white. You know those movies you see powder? Where the sun explodes and it becomes just white, the screen? That's what the room will be like if I do it.
Maybe we have to get you a fake tan.
Yeah.
Now, this is always a great chance for our guests to have a humble brag, but we found that it's not bragging if we do it for you. So just taking a quick look at some of the awards and titles that you've held through your pageant stuff. Miss Halloween 2017, Miss Angel of Darkness Tattoo Model Comp for 2017, and you won that one as well.
Yep.
Most Photogenic for the Angel of Darkness Tattoo Model Comp. Best Grayscale Tattoos for also the Angel of... Wow, you really cleaned up that.
Yeah, that one was really good.
Miss Pictured Australia Amateur Pinup Poser 2017. Best Grayscale Tattoos at the Bump Box Bikini Babe 2017. I was going to go in that, but they wouldn't have me.
Look, they're lost, honey.
That's it. Miss Media Queen for the Miss Inc. Aussie Finals in Canberra 2017. You were a wild card in the Miss Inc. locally 2017. First runner-up for Miss Lamp and Inc. 2017. First runner-up for the Duke Search for a lingerie model. Second runner-up Miss Jungle Girl Tattoo Model Comp 2017. The crowd favourite at the AAPC Pinup Poser Online Comp, and you're a finalist in the Miss Little Red Dress, but you're unfortunately away for the finals.
Yeah, I was coming back from a horse nationals, and in the last year's titles, I think I was Miss Skate Ink Rhyme, Miss Glamour Queen, Miss Ink Canberra, and runner-up Miss Ink Adelaide as well.
Can I just say, good on you for all that research, that hard research that you did looking up beauty competitions with people with tattoos. It must have been really hard on you, and
That is why I said spent the week doing research in air quotes and let everyone know. Funnily enough, researching to have you on, my browser history is no different than just a week that we don't have guests. Now, we've covered the three major facets that you push online, but who are you really? Tell us in your words, who is Blayze Williams?
I guess I try and be pretty real on all my socials and everything. I guess all my friends will probably be laughing at that because they see me at my worst with my no makeup and looking terrible on a weekend, and they keep saying they're going to make the real Blayze Williams page because I'm. But I'm never shy to admit that I can be a pretty, bogan. I mean, one minute I can be real girly, and the next I'm, in a truck or riding horses, or, So I'm never shy to admit both sides. And
you show up for a comp in your truck, and you're like, "Here for Blayze Williams." Like, when'd she get here?
Yeah, that's it. I've had a few people like if I come looking pretty plain, I can see them look in their face thinking, this isn't right. Like, she's meant to look like that beautiful airbrush photo on the internet. Like,
we've been catfished.
Yeah. So the only thing I think I try and keep it pretty real, and I've had a pretty different sort of life. I mean, some people know a lot about my background, and some don't, and that sort of kept me pretty grounded to keep me pushing and make a lot of people proud. And I like to use that to keep me sort of driven. And like I said, anything I set my mind to, I really drive to achieve the best I can. Like the horses, rather than doing one event, I've done every event and achieved most everything I wanted. The model comps, instead of just doing one or two and quitting, I've done over 20 or 30. Most people don't ever do that many. And and I just like to keep trying to push and show people that no matter what, you can really sort of, I mean, I know it sounds corny to say achieve what you want, but it really is true. Like,
well, it seems you've lived so many lives in one lifetime, and it's not that big of a lifetime because you're not that old. I can say that as a creepy old man that we both are this evening. It's fine if you don't want to touch on it, but I was reading about the pinery fires and how that affected your family.
Yeah, so that was pretty full on. My mum actually was completely stuck in the fires, and so, I have a couple of little trauma things on the way, but I'm usually pretty right to touch on them and that. And so she worked out at Hamley Bridge, and their fires, they were pretty quick there. So once they came through, it was too late for them. They all got in their cars and tried to leave. But your cars actually stall in fire. So that's, a good thing for people to know, that if you're ever stuck in a bushfire, your car can stall. It also shrinks your car to lock the door handles. So my mum actually got trapped in her car. And she had to kick her way out and run to another car. And her and her boss, they luckily parked near a water tank, a truck wash thing, and put the water on. And she actually rang me and said goodbye and said she wasn't going to make it out. And then her phone died for a couple of hours, so I thought she was gone. And then, finally found out that that was all right. It literally was just this tiny water tank and a bit of truck wash that saved her and her boss's life. And her co-worker got, I think it was 60% burns to his body, got stuck in the car further down the road.
Yeah.
So they were very, very lucky. Yeah. So it was pretty full on, especially to hear your mum trying to. Oh well,
my wife read the story and full on cried at that part because she just the gravity of it basically hit, and she was like, "That's and what a life." And
the voice of that, I'll never forget my mum's voice, trying to keep it cool, but you could tell that she just thought she was gone. Yep. So, and then it was a long process after, because she had a lot of survivor's guilt because she wasn't injured and her friend was. So that was real. So she's sort of never been the same after it. So that's been a big struggle. But that's another thing that, you got to fight through it. You got to, every time something happens, you can't let yourself fall, because, you got to help other people and you got to keep yourself up. If I let myself go, everyone else around me will go further. So you got to push through it. I mean, life's going to always keeps throwing me really weird, hectic curveballs, but it's always going to throw you curveballs, and you just got to deal with it and try and get through it and not go completely insane.
Paulie, why do we keep having strong people on that shine a mirror on what weak people we both really are?
Like a piece of crap.
I know, I sound like, I feel like sometimes when I talk, I feel like I'm all pageanty rehearsed, be inspirational, but it really is kind of a bit like that with some things, because, I mean, if you don't tell yourself that
You've lived through something that no one has, so, own it. It's a badge of honour. You've done... Sorry, I didn't want to bring things down, but I really wanted to touch on it because that was fascinating and terrifying.
No, I'm fine to talk about a lot of things in my life because I understand, I'm a curious person, so I always know that if I was to meet me as another person, I would have so many questions and I'd be so annoying.
I strap into that. We're annoying too.
That works perfectly.
I've driven manual since I was 16 and I'm still not very good at it. So you're already way ahead of me in life, trust me.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, when I actually got my semi-licence and I could drive the Road Ranger gearbox, I could not drive a car manual.
Wow.
Yeah, so I actually had to, it was a couple of years before I actually made myself learn the car manual so I could drive the smaller trucks. But I sort of kept myself not learning it, so then they'd only put me in the semis and not in anything smaller.
I always love I don't know if you've seen the film Super Troopers, but I love when they're going to go undercover in the truck. And there's like the start of a montage and they dress as truckers and everything. Yep. They get in the truck and they cannot get it into gear. That's just the end of the scene. That's pretty much how I reckon it would go with me. Paulie, did you want to do the hi-fi quiz or go to a song and come back to it?
We'll go midway through. We've got a quiz for you later on in the show. So,
okay,
yeah, so
awesome.
Yeah.
So you've
proving questions. No, they're not.
You've picked 10 of your favourite films of all time, and we're going to be covering them, what they mean to you, if you remember the first time you saw them, everything like that. So, yeah, this is basically your movie life here on DVD. It is 100.5 WOWFM, Dave's Video Graveyard. Another thanks I got to send out to Shannon, who covered for the 2 weeks that I was interstate. I went Amish for 2 weeks and ate fried chicken, basically. Ate fried chicken and cried myself to sleep.
I don't think you know what Amish is.
They eat fried chicken and watch movies from the 1990s while they fall asleep.
Yeah, true. Yep.
Man, I've watched some terrible movies over the past 2 weeks, Polly. You'd be really proud of me.
Proud?
No. It's a word. We are here for the Guest Choice Special, joined by the wonderful Blayze Williams, who's lived a many varied life. We spoke a little bit off air about another aspect of your life. Now, I don't know how to lead into this, so if you wanted to take it away and tell us about other parts of your life.
So another part of my life that is very intriguing to a lot of people that I understand it's very intriguing, and it's something that I'm slowly starting to touch on more and more as it comes up to the 15-year anniversary. It's just been past the 14, it's coming up 15 next year. When I was 13, my dad was president of a motorcycle club, and he was murdered. Well, pretty well he's presumed missing. Like, he was major crime. We sort of know he would have definitely been murdered, and so it's been 14 years. Yeah, well, this year was 14 years, and so when I found out, I was meant to go to blue light disco. Back when you're cool, you go to school, and everyone goes to those. And my mum was watching a scary movie with me, which I thought was weird because she's terrified of everything. So, and then she soon realised she was avoiding me finding out and watching the news, and finding out through that my dad was missing. I then had an interview on the Saturday with a good friend from the Sunday Mail, and then Sunday I was front page of the Sunday Mail with a big sign that said, "I want Dad." Monday I went to school and tried to be normal, kept going on. I think weeks and months after that I had constant interviews. I've been on TV, every newspaper that there is, and went on for a few years, died off for a little bit, and then 5 years popped up. One time we had one of the news stations be fairly cruel, and there was a body found wrapped in a carpet, and they jumped to the assumption that it was him, and so that's a little bit of a point out to some of the news stations. It was pretty rough. And then so it's coming up to the 15 years, and I'm going to start a bit of an appeal more to try, and we still have no body. We've got a lot of the story, we've got a lot of who, what, when, how, why, and we just want to eventually try and have the body to lay him to rest. And so he was president, and before he obviously was missing, he was doing a lot to try and fight the new VLAD laws that have been brought in, and that a lot of people don't realise affect everyone, not just bikers. He was doing a lot for that, so he was already in the media. And funny enough, one thing I'll touch on that is kind of a funny story to go with it, there's a photo of me and my dad, and he's hugging me from behind, and I've got the brightest yellow hair that anyone has ever seen in their life. And I had sports day that day and was in the yellow team, and my dad, I can still remember it clear as day, he said to me, "You need to get in the shower and wash your hair. We're going to have papers for the newspaper." I was adamant, "No, not doing it." And he said, "You will regret this one day." And I do so much. It's the photo that everyone uses. It's been everywhere. The second he went missing, they've put it, it's just the main one. And it's my favourite photo, but the hair haunts me, and I can picture it now, and I think, oh God. And then I think, wow, you were a biker, you should be able to control a kid.
Turn your weakness into a strength. Start rocking it again.
Yeah, that's it.
So that my kid is in the yellow team in sports day, and like so represent.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's probably why I'm so adamant about having platinum blonde hair all the time. I've just realised where one of my quirks come from.
Now, touching on these touchy subjects, being that we are essentially the media, I do have to say we are welcoming of all the sports teams, not just the yellow team. So shout out to all the other colours. Represent. We are community radio. We cover all the sports teams, guys. Come on. Stop being biased, you two.
At least I didn't have red hair or something. Like yellow, I can kind of get by.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to go, do you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the end of the show.
Yeah. No one wants to see your red hair. Can I just ask? It's all right. It's even better when you don't realise it, because now it's killing you even more.
I will ring up my mum right now, and she will explain.
Oh, what is it, Tiger?
She will explain. She will explain, just like she did when I was in school. It is strawberry blonde. I said about my kids joking, and you haven't enjoyed the orangeness of hair until you watch your wife go through Instagram filters trying to find one that makes your kids not look like they have. All our photos are sepia or black and white.
It's like we in the 1930s.
Mum, why do all our photos look like crime scene things from the 90s? Because they're all just negative.
Was I an ill Victorian child?
They're all taken with one of those things that explode for the flash. Paul, you can...
Oh, no, well, we've laughed too much. No, I mean, not discounting any missing person or death, but being in the spotlight, you know what's going to come up every so often. How have you dealt with that over the years? Because obviously, also, even going into the fact that not everyone's going to say... they're going to say things that you're not going to like about your dad and all that stuff. How have you dealt with that with media and lots of stuff?
Oh, yep. Yeah, well, touching on the stuff that people are going to say is one thing I'm grateful for is that it happened before social media was so big.
Yeah.
Because I've had it pop up, my Today Tonight stuff was, more recent, and the comments people write are just vile.
Yeah.
I understand that, there's two sides to everyone. I understand my dad would have done things that probably weren't good, and he's done a lot of good as well. But you don't need to hammer the family for that.
It's your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that, I think why can't they let me have that nice image? Why do you want me to have the bad thing? That's what I can never understand. And being on that side gave me another different side of view for, when I read comments of, I just had a girlfriend, my friend, she was the girl that got stuck in Bali for a couple of days.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, she loves fillers, big fake boobs, everything. And the comments people...
Same.
And the comments people were writing to her were vile.
I did see that, yep.
Yeah, and it made me realise that, that it just, social media just gives that awful sense of empowerment. And so I kind of... Well, when it first happened, I was so young, and I did so many interviews, and I kind of had to get into an almost robotic state when I talk about it. So I say to people, it's almost like skimming a rock. You can it'll just keep skimming, but if it goes in too deep, it sinks a bit and it's a bit sucks. So that's kind of what I guess I've kind of adjusted myself. I've got a fair bit I can skim over, and it's very rarely that I'll break down. Even a lot of the time I don't even really get upset to most people about it. So. But I've just had to be very, I guess very sensible with myself. To, not take it on board and not take it to heart, because people are always going to love and hate everything. And I guess that's kind of what's made it better for me to, in other aspects of life, if I get upset about the way I look or something, I go, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Big pictures sort of
even
thing.
though it's a different kind of, even though it's a different aspect, it's the same kind of thing, and that's what I've kind of done. My dad was great to me. He never did anything wrong to me, and so I don't have any reason to feel bad. So all these nasty things that people say, I've got no reason to take them on board. So sometimes it gets to you, but you just got to, sometimes you've got to try and not read them, but you always do.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And it's maybe 2006 with the growth of social media and stuff. 2006, it was YouTube comment sections were just it was just hatred and arguments. And it's like, as social media has grown, society has taken on the comments section.
Yeah.
Like, me and my wife are constantly like, we find it funny in a certain way, just in a judging kind of way. Like, you look, like the local police will post a story about a burst water main, and the comments on just that story are absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's like, society has become, we talk about this with films because we're a film show. Basically, there's like a constant right of reply of everyone, even if it doesn't involve them.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone feels like they need to give their hot take on everything, always dehumanizing the fact that it's your life, it's your family.
Yeah.
These are real people that were something to you.
And that's what, that's what I've noticed with the social media, is it just takes away that, I guess, that personal touch. Because I think you'd never walk up, like, imagine walking up to a 13-year-old girl and saying, your dad's a scumbag, you never deserve to find the body. You wouldn't do that, would you? But
No.
people have literally written that to me on Facebook and have tried to have arguments with me about convincing me that he's a bad man and, you know, it was a good thing that happened to him. And, you know, they go, oh, you know, he was in that lifestyle, he chose to have that happen. You know, I drive a truck. I don't choose to have another car drive into the side of me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. That's what I mean. That's where it gets to victim blaming and stuff. It's just like, put a screen in front of you and they don't have to deal with the real person, and it's just like...
Yeah, and the thing I think of it too is everyone always tries to push you to be who you want and enjoy what you want. But if you do that, then they judge that. So like some people like to ride the bikes and do the things they do, you know, and then we might like to, you know, play video games inside or something. Like it's two completely different extremes, but, you know, why can't everyone just enjoy what they like to do?
Exactly, yeah. No, I agree. No, and it's been... You're dealing with it so well.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, like your life is...
And the way you hold yourself is...
Like, I have been a very ignorant person over the time. Like, I'm learning very, very slowly, but I am learning. And my son recently showed me a thing, funnily enough, on social media that he liked. And he's like, I'm going to live my life by this. And it's absolutely fantastic. And not to preach to the world, but it said, you don't make your own candle brighter by blowing someone else's out.
Okay.
That's
exactly.
That's nails it.
And that's that's speaking of social media and that, I didn't even have Instagram, or really until I started getting into the like more modelling side of things. And then once I really started discovering, and that opened my mind up even more. And that's, you know, I kind of thought, well, like, and the comments and things on there, and like the things that people more like are more popular, like, you know, that get attention and stuff. And it's just, it's not a very good way that a lot of it's going. And so many people, so the thing that bothers me is how nasty everyone is to everyone. And everyone goes, oh, you know, we're trying to fight so much for everyone to be nice. But how can you fight against it when everyone genuinely enjoys being mean to each other?
Yeah.
Like...
Awesome. Now, moving up, before we move on, obviously some of the things we've covered this evening are somewhat confronting. It's real life, real people. But if anyone's having any struggles, there's always help, whether it be Lifeline or there's also Beyond Blue. You can call 1300 22 4636. We might get into a little bit of movie talk, I think, changing things up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that part of your life with us. Obviously, it's a massive, well, it's your life.
Yeah.
So we're really grateful for you sharing that.
Harry Potter. Now it's one of your choices.
100.5 WOWFM, Dave's Video Graveyard, taken from the soundtrack of the 2006 film Grandma's Boy. That's Just Another Day. And I recommend checking out that music video because it has both the Alan Covert and Nick, what's his name? I totally forgot. Swartzen.
Okay.
From this film. Except clearly it was filmed, like, it's tied to the movie. Clearly it was filmed like 6 months later, and Alan had another role, and he'd grown a massive moustache.
Oh, nice.
So it makes no sense because he's playing the character from Grandma's Boy just with a massive moustache that's got nothing to do with the film. Blayze, you have picked this as one of your first choices from 2006, a lesser-known Happy Madison film. Why did you pick this film?
I just love it. It's the most ridiculous movie ever, and it's just so funny. I just love silly movies like that. And that guy in the cape, with that his boss.
JP?
JP. He always reminds me of a guy that used to walk around Elizabeth Shopping Centre and whip his little trench coat around like that as well. So it always adds a bit of giggle to it.
Is he the one that you used to listen to he was on his headphones as well? Or?
I can't remember. I just remember him whipping the cape all the time and seeing him I used to people watching the food court.
Yeah.
And yeah,
that is the food court to do it in.
This film, I'm a painter and decorator by trade. That's what I do outside of being awesome here. And this film is referenced constantly because we wear white, and every time we paint a wall white, we all take turns doing the joke of covering the back of our head and standing against the wall. Because JP in this film, when he's wearing his trench coat and stands in front of the black wall, that I hate your face scene, it doesn't feel like it was written. It feels like they thought of it at the time.
Yeah. Oh, that is the most favourite scene ever.
I'd lose it. People forget that this is one of the first acting roles of Jonah Hill, and he was really big at the time.
Yeah.
Literally. And, this film is fantastic, and it's filthy.
It is. It's like, that's why I like it. And I always liked Alan Covert in like a lot of the other Adam Sandler films, so it was good to see him get like a full film to itself. So
yeah. Thinking of it just reminded me of thinking of the Filthy Funny and that stupid bed that he has to sleep on, but then he takes the action figure into the toilets. Yeah.
I do like the conversation out of the car after that happened. Where he's like, I'm sorry, you can't stay here because blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, great. This film is so much fun. A lot of SNL alumni, obviously, because it's Happy Madison. So you got Kevin Nealon's in there. David Spade is the vegan restaurant owner.
Yeah.
I think of that every time I go to a restaurant of a food I don't like. I'm being so ignorant. I know that they just want to quit. Do you revisit this film a lot?
Yeah, I watch it. I have a pretty obsessive sort of personality, so when I like things, I generally just rotate between like the same 10 things. So I quite regularly watch it when I want to have a laugh, and it never ever fails.
Nice. Taken straight from my portable MP3 player. It's not an iPod, it's a portable MP3 player. Paulie, it's not breaking your rules about new metal if it's topical to the film choice. And that has Little Nicky in the music video.
I had 2 weeks of no new metal and it was so refreshing.
Well, whatever. From the year 2000, Blayze Williams has picked Little Nicky, which to many people's timeline was the last film in the run of the golden age of Adam Sandler. Why did you pick this film?
Oh, it is just so funny. Everything about it, the boob man head, everything, why don't you get in the jar? I should have rewatched it before I came here. When it did first come out, I think it was about 2 months, I literally watched it every single day. I think it was after school, so I did know it pretty well back then, and I just love it. Every bit of the one-liners. Adam Sandler, and the whole way he keeps his face sideways like that. I don't know how he's done that the whole movie.
Yeah.
This film, a friend of mine recently, she never was into heavy metal at all, and she watched one of those Facebook videos come up that just auto plays, and it was an interview with Ozzy Osbourne back in the late 80s. And he was talking about how in the 70s he bit the head off of a bat. And she's like, oh my God, I cannot believe that this happened. So I went on YouTube and sent her the link of him biting off the bat's head in Little Nicky. I'm like, that's what this scene's all about. She's like, I've always wondered why he was cameoing in that film. The soundtrack was insane for me at the time. Year 2000, you had the likes of POD, Powerman 5000, Disturbed, Deftones, and it was at a time where films didn't know how they wanted that youth market. Like Eminem was all over TV, MTV, VH1, all those channels. They're like, we need to jump in on this medium. So they didn't know what they were doing. So one of the tie-ins to this film that always I found hilarious was Deftones played a live set on VH1 and Adam Sandler sat in on acoustic guitar. It was all the tie-in to advertise Little Nicky. And Adam Sandler just kind of strummed guitars while the Deftones played their biggest songs. And if you find it on YouTube, it is so funny because it's so like, why are you here? Why are you doing this? And it goes back to the thing that we've talked about before with comedians always want to be rock stars.
Yeah.
And so seeing Adam Sandler sitting with a heavy band like the Deftones, totally downtuned, with him strumming an acoustic guitar is absolutely hilarious.
I'll have to look that one up after. Oh, that whole movie, everything with it is just brilliant. I don't know how he comes up with so much funny stuff.
This film, it blows my mind. Even like you forget looking back at the people that are in this film, like the likes of Harvey Keitel, one of the biggest, one of the last acting roles of, help me out, Paul, Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
What an absolutely amazing film. I did enjoy. I recently listened to a podcast. I do not know why about the Friday films. It's the podcast is called the Bitter End, and they watch every movie in a franchise, and they got to Friday, and they interviewed Tiny Lister.
Yeah,
and it was quite funny because talking all about the Friday films, he goes, "Oh, and when I worked with Harvey Keitel," and the host's like, "When was that?" And he's like, "Oh, Little Nicky." Little Nicky, and I was like, "Oh yeah." Oh man, this film.
It's very underappreciated, I feel. I love this film.
And it's funny, like for 2000, it is so tied to New York City. Like, that Mayor Giuliani, when he was cleaning up New York City, all these films that are like really pro New York. We lost that in 2001, but this is such a sign of the times because, you know, after everything that happened in 2001, it was no longer... You know, it was no longer a character in the film like that.
Put it up against Waterboy and stuff like that. It's one of the better ones for. It's got a lot of funny stuff in it. It's just that everyone just. I think a lot of people went to see it, and then like word of mouth was like, "Oh, it's not as good as other ones that didn't get."
I think if it came out now, I think it would have been bigger than what it was because it's more of the humor now. Like I feel like whereas back then it was probably a bit. Sort of too out there, I think,
That's when they basically gave him a blank check and said, just give us what you want. And
Well, that's it. It did fall into that almost like a Men in Black sequel where it was like, just throw money at it. It doesn't matter how strong some parts of it.
Yeah.
You went and saw this one at the cinema, or do you remember the first time you saw it?
No, I think that's why I was trying to think of where I first seen it. I reckon I maybe bought the DVD.
You're pretty much not old enough to have watched it on VHS. This is one of the first films that I had on both video and DVD.
I think I had it first on DVD, and I reckon it was like one of those random buys. So I bought it with Bring It On. That was on my list too. But I literally, when I say I watched them every day for a month or two, I literally watched them every day.
Yep.
And so that was, I think I randomly sort of got them and went, these will be all right. And then just got hooked. Now I just love that.
And we've on our podcast we revisit a lot of 1990s movies, and we're realizing the way product placement happened in the 90s. And Popeye's chicken in this film. This is an ad for peppermint schnapps, which I tried when I was 18 because of this film. It's not too bad. I prefer butterscotch, but that's because I'm manly. And Popeye's chicken, I cannot hear Popeye's chicken without the tagline from this film. Oh, what a great film. Do you like a lot of Adam Sandler films?
Yeah, I love all the Adam Sandler films. And funny enough, that's what I was saying before. One of my friends, I always tell him he looks like Adam Sandler, but probably more like after he's been hit with the shovel. No, I'm just kidding. Love you, Russ. You know who you are.
You mentioned it just then. Let's go on to Bring It On too.
So that was, being a young girl and teenage, cheerleading movie comes out. All me and my girlfriends learn all the cheers and had to sing them all the time and everything. So, watch that all the time to learn all the bits.
I can sometimes see the comments come up his throat when someone just cheerleads.
Paul wants to know if you filmed it.
I remember watching this movie when it came out. As when sometimes when you work in VS stores, you sort of watch anything that comes out. I like it. It's kind of fun. Like Kirsten Dunst. This is around about the time that she was also doing like one of my favorite films, Dr. Gorgeous.
She did the Virgin Suicides the year before.
It was pre-Spider-Man.
Yep. That was 2003-ish or 2-ish.
Yeah. So and I just remember like. The other thing I remember was like there's now 6 sequels to it. It's like there's so many Bring It Ons, and like for a while they just brought out a new one every year.
This was a golden age of cinema for me in the sense that if it wasn't an action film, you'd still go to the movies because you knew all the girls from your class would be going to see these movies. So they all run together for me to a degree. Like Bring It On. The one where she's a gymnast and she's also a rebel push bike rider. I cannot think of the name of it. Stick It.
Oh my Lord.
All those movies that came out in this time that were perfectly parodied in Not Another Teen Movie, a movie we cannot stop talking about.
Yeah.
Do you revisit this one quite often?
Yeah, this one I actually haven't watched in a while, but I did for a while there. Because it was just, like, even when you have, hang out with your girlfriends, it was that movie that would always end up, put in the background, what we chuck on, and it was this. And, I think I might have to relive it a little bit and watch it again. But
Paul's mic just cut out. You missed it, but he just said, do you still have the outfit?
I reckon it was...
Stop putting words in my mouth.
Now I'm going to have that stupid tune that they sing all the time stuck in my head for days after here, I reckon.
Yeah. I will say, for those who don't remember, this is a film that introduced the world to just putting cheer into bigger words. So cheer-tatorship and cheer-mocracy. And this... I take nothing away from Kirsten Dunst. This is one role that she took where you can tell she was having fun.
Yeah.
Like, she's very self-serious in a lot of her movies, whereas this one is like, oh, she's actually really pleasant and happy to be there.
And like they just said, Eliza Dushku, could you just be Eliza Dushku in this? And she's like, yeah, I can do that.
This one's sort of like, what's the other one? Mean Girls. Like, yeah, like this movie and Mean Girls I love, and they always have like those one-liners that you pop up and then you go, where did that come from? They're like, oh, Mean Girls. You're like,
Did you get into the likes of like Step Up and all the dance movies?
Not Step Up, not so much. I think I've only seen them sort of once. So yeah, I don't know why I got so hooked on this like singing kind of one, but I did on this one. Yeah.
I was like, because I was going to edit like a clip into the song from it, which actually isn't a bad song. I've never heard it before. Going on YouTube trying to find the perfect clip to play. And at no point was any of the dialogue other than the cheer-tatorship worth it. It's either them doing a rhyme or just a musical dance number. And I was like, oh, this was a dance movie the whole way through.
The whole thing, yeah. It's just them basically doing cheer in one of those like perky, girly movies.
And really, pretty much the whole character for all the Pitch Perfect movies, because she plays pretty much the same character.
And Jesse Bradford, who was basically in rom-coms for about 4 years and then just went into obscurity.
That's what you get.
Yeah.
100.5 WOWFM. This is Dave's Video Graveyard as we continue the guest choice special of Blayze Williams. And you have picked a film that one of my favourite podcasts of all time have covered, Dave's Video Graveyard. You've picked Hot Rod from 2006.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about this film.
How could anyone not love Hot Rod? Cool beans. Cool beans. Everything about it. And it's one of those movies, I guess I keep picking silly movies because I like to laugh. And, yeah,
Do you like to party?
Yeah, I do. My name is Dave and I like to party.
I know for a fact you don't party. This film is an absolute financial bomb. Like, it did so badly that the weekend it came out, because Andy Samberg, the main star, and the director who plays his younger brother Kevin, they're best friends in real life with Bill Hader, who's in this film as well. Bill Hader and Seth Rogen, who's in one of your other choices later tonight. They released Hot Rod, came out the very same day as Superbad.
Oh, God, I love Superbad as well.
And Superbad broke, like, absolute box office. It's one of the most financially successful comedies of, like, that year. And Hot Rod did nothing. It started in something like... It started in 2,000 cinemas, and then the following week, it was in 75 cinemas because no one went and saw this film. But Andy Samberg rang Seth Rogen on the Monday morning after it released, and he's like, oh, hey, man, I've been out of town. How did our movies do? I pretended he didn't know. And so Seth Rogen had to like keep him on the phone for like 45 minutes being like, oh, you know, it's only the first weekend. It doesn't matter. He's like, how did Superbad do? And he told him, he goes, so how did I do? Like, I haven't checked. How did I do? And that is amazing because they knew that it didn't do well.
Yeah.
And if we are such nerds that when we covered this, I watched it with the director's commentary on.
Yeah.
And there is so much behind the scenes of this movie that is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, actually, the director's commentary on that, I probably wouldn't mind watching because, the movie is ridiculous enough, so I feel like they would have done so much funny stuff on set.
They were allowed to just do whatever they wanted. And one scene that I absolutely love, and it's probably my favourite scene, even though it's such a little scene, there's the bit at the end where his brother goes, I want to show you something I've been working on. and he turns the computer on, and there's just dog pooping while getting humped, and he goes, "Oh, that's something else I'm working on for Mum." It's like a 2-second throwaway scene, and it is hilarious.
Apparently, before Barry, like that Bill Hader's in now, they were going to do a show about Dave. That was going to be
that would have been amazing.
Yeah, and he's like that.
The guy with the ice skate.
Yeah, so they're going to do an entire series with just about that dude, and he's like, they didn't get off the ground. That's probably
They still need to do that because I will watch every second of it. Is this one of those films I've found that you meet a lot of people that haven't seen it? Are you constantly telling people to watch this movie?
Yeah, and I'm constantly making them watch it as well. And then I find when you make them watch it, it's never as... Then you're sitting there and it's awkward and it's never as funny as the movie's meant to be because you've forced them, but you want them to appreciate it anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely one of those ones. And it's one that I never get sick of watching as well, and it's just so ridiculous.
No, having watched it for the first time for the podcast, I've watched it another 2 times, I reckon, now. Because it's just funny.
And he's so funny. Like, his, him in Brooklyn Nine-Nine just get, and it's the same sort of personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I just love all the silly, like, just that nonsense kind of, where it's not too ridiculous, but it's silly enough where,
That film is a great example of when, like, directors and actors are just let to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And so even though it didn't financially succeed, it's built up a massive cult following, but you get a genuinely funny film. And much like your selection in Grandma's Boy.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like it was made independent of any film studios and stuff. So they could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
And in the end, you get a timeless film. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, there's all those sort of films. I feel like if you rebrought, like if they were brought out nowadays, that's another one. Sort of. I mean, even though it's not that long ago, everything's just so different from a few years ago to now, and I feel like it would be much more appreciated.
Let's be a Netflix film now, and it'll be huge. Like,
yeah. It'll pop back up, and then you'll go, I've liked this movie for years, but now all of a sudden it's popped up again.
Now, the other film that you wanted to cover this evening from 2008, speaking of Seth Rogen, Danny McBride, also from Hot Rod, we are talking about Pineapple Express. Why did you pick this one?
Another one that just makes me absolutely laugh, that bit at the end with the Daewoo Lanos. You can't not meant to swear, so you just got messed up by Daewoo Lanos. And when they fall down the hill and they just like everything they do, they just completely stuff up, but they don't mean to. And that's basically my whole life. I just do so many wrong things all the time, and I don't mean to. And that just, and how he accidentally witnesses the murder, and then he reverses the car, drives forward and back, and you're just stressed and you're laughing and everything about it is just so and the whole Dave, he's getting snickle frits.
Oh man, this film. It always surprises me, like, because it's a comedy action film. It still surprises me revisiting it, how violent it is. Like, you know what I mean? Because in my mind, you remember it as a stoner comedy. Then you go back and watch it like, oh, this is really dark and really bleak.
I know, that's what I sort of think. You just sort of laugh at the stoner part of it, and then you're like, hang on, he may reverse it into cars, but you just watch someone get shot.
Well, my favourite scene of the entire film is the prologue with James Remar and Bill Hader.
Yeah.
Where they do the government testing of marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, this is the bee's knees. And he's like doing the jazz drumming and stuff. And then the best part of the jazz drumming is where his boss is still waiting for him to think, and he keeps doing more drum fills. Oh, man, what a great film. I haven't watched this for a very long time.
When they said, because the director that did this did the new Halloween, and everyone was going, how's that work? But it's a visceral film. Like, it's a comedy, but it's got some really sort of harsh bits, and I was like, nah, I reckon we're going to be good. And we were.
I also like because it's a trope in all those movies of the 90s where it ends up with one of the characters becoming a radio DJ. That's their happy ending.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love in the end of this, they're sitting in the diner and you hear the voiceover from Danny McBride.
Yeah.
And he's like doing a radio bit and he goes, and it cuts to him sitting there still all injured and dying. He goes, so that's how I would do it, like as a radio voice ending. And I was like, that is beautiful. Is this another film you revisit a lot?
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking there. what's the guy's name with the curly hair?
Seth Rogen.
No, the other one they tie up to the chair and
Danny McBride.
Yeah, he's in Land of the Lost, and
Yes.
that's another movie that I always, sort of put under these, forgotten about, and him in that as well is hilarious.
The funniest thing, that's a kids movie because that's rated G, right? No,
is
PG.
it?
I recently watched it with my kids, and it's okay because it is a little bit scary in bits and pieces. The bit where Shaka, played by, funnily enough, the director of Hot Rod, is that monkey guy.
Oh, really?
The bit where him and Will Ferrell are playing Kissing Chicken in the hot tub because they're like out of it on the thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll kiss you on the mouth. And my kid's like, what is this? I'll kiss your monkey mouth.
That's when they said, like, maybe Will Ferrell shouldn't be in kids' movies anymore.
Pretty much.
I love how all those actors sort of tie across in the same kind of, that silly kind of comedy. So every time you see them in a movie, you just go, yeah, this is a movie.
Yeah,
for me.
they had a bunch there, and for a while there was like, there was just spinning gold. It was awesome.
Yeah, just nonsense, but it was working and it was great. Yeah. So the more I talk about these movies, I keep thinking of other movies that I like. So to pick 10 for the list, I was like, what are my favourites? Now I'm thinking more and more.
It is Dave's Video Graveyard. Don't forget, coming up this evening at 10 p.m. here on WOWFM, it is the Emerald Tower with Krez, the creator. Be sure to stick around for that. It is an absolute trip. So we are talking films with our good friend Blayze Williams, best friend Blayze Williams, because you picked Little Nicky and Hot Rod, so we're besties. So did you chuck out that cheerleader costume or what? You didn't. You
can be on the team now.
Would it fit me? You do the yellow and I'll do the strawberry blonde.
Yeah, so we go back to the yellow.
Paul, let's stop being creeps. Us collectively.
Yeah. I don't like how you piggyback me on something.
He wants the blue hair.
I'll go blue, yeah.
You've already pledged your allegiance to the yellow team.
So yeah, when Dave was away, we did have one of the other presenters, Shannon. He came up with a quiz that we should give our guests, because we had one at the start and then sort of faded out. Now we've come back with it. So you're going to be the first guest to do this new quiz. So are you ready?
Alrighty.
And we probably should have given it to you before time. He did preface that, and I just forgot to, so it's fine. So do you prefer watching a movie at home or at the cinema?
Probably ever since I hurt my leg at home, so I can always sit comfortably.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. And if you're at the cinema or at home, do you have a food of choice?
You've always got to get popcorn and Maltesers, I reckon. I don't like the flavours together, but you've got to have like at least a whole big bag or bucket of both.
Yeah. So you have to choose one genre, either comedy, horror, or drama for the rest of your life. What would the movies be?
It'd probably definitely be comedy.
Yeah.
I reckon a few years ago, if you had asked me, it would have been horror. But
I had the same answer. Like, he gave me this quiz, and I was like, 25-year-old me would be horror.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, no.
Give me all the good things now. I don't want to go to the dark side.
Well, I'm true to myself, and it would always be porn.
It's like someone gave you that quiz 17 years ago. I'll do it. Which film deserves a sequel that hasn't had one yet?
I reckon probably like Hot Rod or Pineapple Express or something stupid like that.
Well, have you seen This Is the End?
No.
It's all the actors from those films playing themselves after the apocalypse happens.
Oh, really?
And when they're locked in the house, they start going stir crazy. So they actually shoot a sequel to Pineapple Express and like have toy cars and everything, because all the actors from Pineapple Express are in that movie. You should check that scene out because it's amazing.
Who would play you in your biopic?
Oh, I have no idea. That's a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah,
hopefully someone really pretty. So then they pick someone that looks like a monster. I'm like, oh god, I've been ugly all this time.
Who will play you?
It'd have to be Donald Logue. And he'd be de-aged because that's the guy that looks like me, sadly.
What was the last film that made you cry?
Oh, I'm not too sure, actually.
Are you a crier? Are you a crier at movies? Like...
I try not to. I try and do the whole, tough. Like, I'm a tough trucker. I can't cry. And then
and
then I cry. Then I'm like,
I'm the complete opposite.
I go from one thing like that, and then something normal in everyday life will happen, and I'll just cry. And then movies or something, I'm like, I'll be tough.
I tease everyone that cries at movies, and then I sit at home on my own when no one's there, watching videos of kids getting like hearing aids turned on for the first time and cry. And
Well, it's like, yeah, if any animal or anything dies in a movie, I'm like real sad. Like, you know, like those emotional animal kind of movies I can't handle. But then, yeah.
I Am Legend. I couldn't concentrate for the rest of the film after his dog died.
I will not watch the new Lion King because I'm not going through that sad scene again.
It's real this
Yeah,
time.
I refuse. So my partner keeps saying to me, "Oh, you know, we'll go see it." I said, "Oh, it's not happening." I said, "I will not go through that."
Which TV show or movie from your childhood should be rebooted as a movie?
Oh.
This is the one that I had trouble with because I was like, most of the stuff that I used to watch has been redone as a movie. I can't think of. Oh, I should have said Captain Planet. They should.
Oh God, yeah, I loved Captain Planet. Captain Planet was good.
I want Trapdoor.
Yeah, Trapdoor. Yeah.
Done as a live action by Guillermo del Toro. That's how you say it. That's honestly how you say it.
If you could drive one vehicle from a movie, what would it be?
From a movie?
Yeah.
The big rig from Mad Max.
I was going to say, I'd have to go, Optimus Prime or something. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I'd have to go back to there, yeah.
Actually, which movie star would you turn for?
Oh. I always think like I have like my favourites now, and then when you ask the question, I'm like, I know no female actors.
Answer the question. Answer the question.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who would be my favourite. I mean, I'll quickly ring my friends because they always remember everything about me. Oh, yeah.
Draw your answer, please.
Yeah. I'll think of it after and come back to it.
Yeah. Because Dave apparently really
because I thought of when you said I already thought of when you said who would play me. I was thinking, Chanel West Coast off of is it Tosh Point? Not Tosh Point. The other one. Ridiculousness.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm old, so all those words didn't mean anything.
No, she's a blonde and she's got a real ridiculous laugh, so I think that would suit my playing me pretty well. Yeah.
That's the dude that would play me in a movie, sadly.
That or Toadie from Neighbours. And this is my favourite question that he put up. If you could add Stifler from American Pie to any movie of your choice.
Oh,
Serbian film.
I'd have to go back to the silly movies, maybe like Hot Rod or something, just to add a bit of a mix.
Stifler as Stifler?
The
character of Stifler?
Just to add him in, mix the ridiculous into something.
I'd put him in Schindler's List.
I said that last week. I said, what's the most inappropriate film could you put Stifler in? It's like
The Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
My actual answer was put him in Die Hard as the cop that Bruce Willis talks to.
Yeah, right. As Ellis.
Ellis. The Family Matters guy.
Yeah.
Like he could slip into these 80s cop movies very, very easily, I think.
Reginald Val Johnson. Yeah. 100.5 WOW FM. Danny Elfman with the theme from the next choice from Blayze Williams from 1988. We are talking Beetlejuice. Tell us why you picked this film.
So Beetlejuice has been my best friend Zoe, who I grew up with. For some reason, it was our favourite childhood movie. So that might explain a lot of why we grew up a little bit weird, I think. Yeah, so it's kind of always stuck. And I cannot believe that they are actually, after all our hopes and dreams have come true, they're going to remake it. But it may be too scary for my friend to watch because she's absolutely terrified of every scary movie. But but yeah, it's one of those movies that it's just kind of silly. I mean, I guess it was meant to be scary for back then, but just something that's a bit rude, crude in some parts, and just something about the Beetlejuice just, I don't know, it cracks me up. And it's one of those movies, again, that I force people to watch, and, they either get it, and I can't believe he's popping up in memes everywhere. That made my absolute happiness. Just everything.
Meme culture is very specifically special for our generation. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's bringing up so much more old things that it's just great. Like when I see him pop up in a meme, I'm actually going to get a tattoo of him where it says that, when it says about being crazy, and he goes, "It's showtime." Yep. So I'm going to, get that to kind of represent all that.
I have a great memory of this film because it was rated PG in Australia. It was rated M in the US, or 18 certificate or whatever it was. We were coming back from Canberra on a school trip in like year 4 or 5, and we all voted it was between this or the film What About Bob, and we'd watch What About Bob on the way there.
Nice.
So everyone's like, let's watch Beetlejuice. So it was at the time where the bus driver would be leaving town, just pull into the servos, because at the time they were video shops as well. You know, the way they had the revolving range. Hired to PG movies, and the other one being Beetlejuice. We are driving along along what's called Black Mountain in Canberra, which I don't know if you know it very well, but it's basically one of those movie-style treacherous roads that just has a drop-off on the side. We're driving along that. It's starting to snow. It is absolutely freezing and dark. It's like terrifying. Beetlejuice is on, and because even though it's rated PG, it has the F word in it. Beetlejuice kicks over the tree in the model and goes, "Nice effing model." The bus driver slams the brakes on and goes into damage control and like starts ejecting. You know the way they were in charge of like the video play? He's like, shh, and I'm like, everyone's yelling, drive, just drive. And honestly, no,
your ears.
You could have offered all the money in the world to any kid on that bus to tell you anything that happened in the film after that, because they did put it back on. But the trauma that was so deep ingrained from us all nearly dying on a mountain in Canberra because of Beetlejuice.
I love it, and I can't believe so many people haven't seen it. I just don't know how. But then I suppose there's so many movies I haven't seen. But I mean, I still don't even really understand how that became one of our favourite movies. But I mean, like even she used to get we have it. I think we used to watch it on like video maybe, and then it come out on DVD. And I used to steal her DVD all the time. I'm actually pretty sure I've still got it at home. And she specifically told me, "Don't you ever take my DVD," because I think I took the last one or something. And here we are. I still have it. And it's been like 10 years. Nice. So there you go, Zoe. It's still at home.
Because it's great on radio, I'm just sending you a photo. A good friend of the show that does a lot of our logos and stuff.
Yep.
She just today got a Beetlejuice tattoo.
Oh,
and it
really?
is amazing. So I've just sent you. Hopefully it was to you, or someone's going to be like, what is this? Yeah, like, I don't know why they're bothering, because they're talking about a sequel, remake, reboot type thing. And I'm super skeptical, because I don't think anyone involved is of age that it would work.
I just don't. I mean, why? Like, of all the films, like, it's of its time. Like, it's not. And
you kind of can't.
Don't mention Gina Davies' big weird face. Don't mention it. Don't mention it. Don't mention it.
You kind of can't remake that movie without it being really scary these days, and it's not meant to be a really scary movie. I don't think, is it? Like,
no, I think it's mostly a comedy. Like, it's like all that sort of Tim Burton stuff was like, let's do a dark comedy sort of thing.
Yeah, I always forget.
It was basically Tim Burton going, "I really want to make Addams Family."
Yeah,
and then not giving him the license, so he did this, and they're like, "Okay, you can have it." But it is like the blueprint for what he did. It's pretty much, it's the quintessential to me Tim Burton film, because it's his best of reel moving forward.
Yeah, this one over Edward Scissorhands I think is his best.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Stylistically and everything.
I hope if they do remake it, I hope they just make it like the same but with better graphics, rather than just like, you know, I think half of that's made out of clay and the graphics in that.
Yeah. Well, you like the stop motion. So yeah. Another one of your films on the list is the Peter Pan. So
yeah, so I just put that on there because it's I thought I'd add in a couple of movies that, you know, just kind of funny from my childhood, and that movie with Jeremy Sumpter, I talked about my friend Zoe in the last movie. That Peter Pan movie and Jeremy Sumpter, you know, like you guys, I don't know whether you do the same, but us girls generally when we're younger, we fangirl over things and, you know, save all the little newspaper clippings in every magazine, and he was one of the ones that we did that for.
I cut out photos.
You know, and put them in a folder, and you've got all the bits and pieces and all the merch, and
you may have seen some of the photos I would have cut out at some of your truck stops.
Well, that movie sort of represents, you know, that bit of that you know, childhood kind of, you know, crush obsession. So yeah, and then I think something popped up with that not long ago, because me and my friend were only just talking about that Jeremy Sumpter again. So maybe
who is Jeremy Sumpter, Paul? Is he anything to you?
Is he in anything new?
Not that I've. Well, the weird thing. Reason I want to talk about it is I saw this movie for the first time last week because it just came back onto Netflix, and my youngest is obsessed with Peter Pan. So we watched this, and it's a really good telling of the story.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's Australian, because the big thing was that it was made in Australia. So like, there's heaps. If you
I didn't even know that.
If you watch that film, there's a bunch of like B-grade Australian celebrities in that film. A bunch of Hook's pirates. You'll see him on like, you know, what's that? Sea Change, lots of stuff. It's basically
I've made it
basically
all-
the cast of Sea Change.
I've gone through his career and I've made it all the way back to Peter Pan without knowing any of the words. CSI Miami is probably the only thing I've actually heard of. He was in Frailty, which is that Tobey Maguire film.
Yeah,
It's intense.
Jason Isaacs in this film plays Hook, and he is probably one of the best hooks ever. And yeah, it's really good. I only know so much about it because we just watched it last week.
I don't think I've
You're
ever
going to get a
seen
letter
him.
from Dustbin Hoffman's lawyers.
We tried watching Hook, and Hook is a long ass movie that
It's not.
it's not really a.
I would personally like to detach everyone's nostalgia to Hook, because I promise you,
It's
you
boring.
don't love it the way it takes. I try to watch, and the measuring stick I now have of the movies I loved as a kid is watching with my kids that are around the same age now as when the films came out.
Yeah.
Hook is probably one of the ones where we had to turn it off because one of the boys went in his room and went on his iPad, and the other one was like sitting on his phone.
Yeah.
Which, if it's a movie like, The Sandlot or other movies like that, they will sit glued to the screen.
Yeah.
Hook is so boring.
Yeah. Oh, your kids don't intend. Like, they just sit there and, like, you could push them over and they'll still stare at the TV.
Yeah. We're not telling people to do that.
Instead of cow tipping, just kid tipping.
Staying on with the kids' films too. You know what? We don't get the Harry Potter films mentioned too much on this show, and it's a breath of fresh air because I like the Harry Potter films. Dave does not, but who cares?
When Harry Potter came out, I was Harry Potter everything. Again, like I've said, with my obsessive personality, I had everything Harry Potter. Read the books, watched every movie. Was the old, the movies aren't as good as the books because it's not as detailed. Did all that. Yeah, I was right into it. I think I even still have a wand and heaps of, like, a sorting hat and things at home, like some of the merch and things.
They got really good merch now. They got a sorting hat at Target that I'm just like, man.
And it talks.
They'd be getting some wild stuff now, wouldn't they?
And I'm like, I'm glad I don't have much disposable.
Well, you can, and that I will admit, because my sons have only got into it like much later. You can now get the Quidditch. What's it called? The
Golden Snitch.
The Golden Snitch. You can actually get one that's a hovercraft. Like
wow.
What do you call a drone?
We'd have to throw it back up in the air back in our day.
Yeah, the wings just moved when I was getting to it.
We'd be painting the tennis ball gold.
I was going to say, it was one of those tennis balls on the bit of string that bounces back to you.
We've got
spray painted
We've got
gold.
the evolution there. You had the string, I had the moving wings, and now they finally fly.
I just never got into it because I like good films, but hey,
it's because you didn't read the books, that's why.
I'm not here to read a movie.
So me and my wife rewatched them like back when we were about to go see the last one, and they get dark. They get very dark. Like I'm just like, because my eldest son's watched the first two, and then like the third one when they start doing werewolves and stuff, I'm like, we might hold off on that for a little bit.
And that's I sort of noticed that when I rewatched them again now. But then I think back to, I think when I came out, when the first, because I think I was in primary school when the books came out.
Stop making us older. Every word you say ages us.
And then I can't remember if it was the end of primary school or the start of high school that the first come out. But so the start of the Harry Potters, I was sort of around the same age, so I aged with the movies.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Whereas
so the movies kind of aged.
That was similar to a lot of my friends that got into it that read the books. They were Harry Potter's age when they read the books.
Yeah.
Obviously, the films were a few years later, so that would be your generation.
Yeah.
But I remember when the final film came out and everyone saw it, there was almost this catharsis of all my friends that were into it. They're like, "Oh, we've lived through."
It was.
This thing, it's amazing and it's done. We lived through it. And I was like, I left the first movies at the cinema.
Well, see, that's like you said about it being like, getting a bit darker, but it was kind of because we were at that age. Well, I found that the age that I lined up, that was what was starting to more get into. So the movies kind of flowed with the age that whatever people started and kind of kept that.
Well, it wasn't actually, because I've always been ignorant of the films. It wasn't until they were added to the streaming service that's Red that I realised, because they called them, I don't know if you saw, rather than saying the names, they had Harry Potter and they had first year, second year, third year.
Yeah.
And I asked my son, what's the go there? And he goes, it's for anyone that doesn't know them that wants to watch them. Each movie is set a school year. And I was like, I did not know that at all.
Which also helps because after 4, 5, and 6, I always mix up.
Yeah.
So it's good that they've actually covered them.
He's now into the Fantastic Beasts films. I don't know if you've got into those.
Yeah, I haven't seen them yet. Yeah.
And like growing up, my dad used to not enjoy Star Wars, and I was a Star Wars obsessed, and I was saying all these names, and
you hate me. I've never really seen them.
He'd deliberately get them wrong and stuff, like just to like show how much he did not care. I'm now doing that to my kids, but I've found with Harry Potter, I've almost nailed some of the names just by being ignorant about it. I'm like, oh, that's Herbaldonk Stinklelink, and he's like, that's his name. Well, that's Skimbob Chumley-Bottom. And he's like, yes, that is one of the characters.
You've got that right. Oh, yeah, I remember when I was at full peak of loving it, I could name just everything. Like there was like a quiz book, and it was like 100 questions or something. I could do every single one. And I went deep in the Harry Potter fan base.
Yeah.
All that attractiveness we had at the start of the show just died.
Yeah, I just killed it off with the Harry Potter again.
So at least you're of age, because I remember talking to a mum, like when they were hiring the films. I'm like, yeah, the books are pretty good, and she side-eyed me like why you? Because I was like in my 20s then. I was like, I'm allowed to read them too. It's fine.
Oh, it was such a big thing when that, like, Harry Potter was so big when that was. Well, I said to someone the other day, I'm like, what did I used to do like before phones? And I was like, I used to read books.
I've read 5 books since high school, and that's not because of phones.
But do you remember like there used to be like lines at the bookstore?
Yes. We went and met an author a couple of years ago that my son was obsessed with.
Yeah.
And the line was up around the block, like the most popular nightclub ever.
Yeah.
And my brain couldn't, like, because I've never experienced that. I was like, is this the line for it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm like, I've never seen that happen.
I didn't expect it.
I was like, you just get a line that nerd.
And it was just punching my son in the arm. Sadly, now you only get those lines for new shoes.
Yeah. And iPhones.
So just want to make sure we get all the moves in before we get going. The Heath Ledger Dark Knight Batman is in your list.
Yeah, so I just love, I think, I guess maybe my love of Jokers must stem back to, I guess, all the Jokers in my life.
Yeah.
They're clubbing that. And so they always loved Jokers. So as I grew up, you know, like even my dad, he'd collect like the Joker's cards out of a deck of cards. Everything was Jokers. And that kind of stuck. And then the Heath Ledger Batman, like when he did that, it was just so, the way he did it was so good. And I also loved the Suicide Squad Joker, even though that was completely different. They were both just so dark in their own kind of ways. But then, I mean, and then as a girl's kind of perspective, you kind of like, you're intrigued and you like it, but then you're like, oh, you know, like kind of that thing. So
yeah.
Well, you did fly one of the red flags this show has, and you picked Paul's least favourite film of all time, being The Suicide Squad.
Oh, really? Yeah, see, I loved it. I liked the movie, and I loved the Joker, and that. A lot of people didn't like it, but I did.
We're old men, so we grew up watching Batman the Animated Series in the 90s, and that's where we knew Harley Quinn from. So this wasn't our Harley Quinn. This was the music video generation.
I've never seen any of the older Batman sort of stuff, so...
Oh, so, and like...
Beetlejuice was Batman once, and it was the best.
My main issue with... Harley Quinn in this particular movie is when you see a lot of like young girls wearing the Harley Quinn costume,
Daddy's little
and they're
girl,
like, "Oh, I want to be just like her." I'm like, she's not in a stable relationship.
Yeah, that's kind of what I didn't like about that was the, you know, they kind of said after it glorified, you know, abuse or whatever. Which I guess, I mean, everyone always goes over the top with everything. I guess in kind of way it does, but then you know, it's just sort of.
There's an animated series that's coming out. And they have addressed, I think they're trying to make it a bit more accessible for younger viewers.
I just last week watched Batman Hush, the newest animated film, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But the dangers of downloading films, ladies and gentlemen, halfway through, instead of saying Hush, the subtitle said who the character was that turns out to be Hush. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. That has to be a mistake. And no, it wasn't. Thanks, downloading pirated movies.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I think the biggest issue is not... Well, the other issue with the Suicide Squad is the glorification of Jai Courtney. And that is a huge issue in the film industry today.
Leave him alone.
He ruined my Terminators. He ruined my Die Hards. He is a franchise ruiner. He ruined the Suicide Squad, so he ruined DC. Get rid of Jai Courtney. That's Captain Boomerang. He can go. Put
Smith's
Toadie in there.
Will Smith's not coming back either.
I know.
Idris Elba's in.
I'm on board for it.
Yeah, I think that the Suicide Squad, like I liked the movie as well, but then I sort of, it kind of was like they went to go big, threw a bunch in, and then it kind of didn't really just sort of put it all together, right? And there was a few things, but I hope they make the Joker movie a bit better because I like Jared
That's
Leto
gonna
as that.
yeah.
Well, I actually have Jared Leto tattooed on my leg, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Please tell me it's from Dallas Buyers Club.
Well, no, it's just from
It's
it's actually the Joker. So.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
You should have got Angel Face from Fight Club.
I put my leg up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So but I got it because I like the Joker, not so much of the Jared Leto. So.
I've got the Riddler tattooed on my arm. Not
really?
It's Jim Carrey coming out of a runner's butthole. Technically similar. So is
we got and also Rob Zombie.
Rob Zombie.
Yeah, so that sort of stems back to again, my friend Zoe. We loved the song "House of a Thousand Corpses" when we were younger, and that stemmed over to the movies. So I kind of have that bit of attachment to the movies, a bit of a sentimental thing. So I love Rob Zombie. Again, I'm going to get another tattoo of him. Love his music. His movies are weird, but for some reason you love them, and they make they make you feel sick, but you're hooked. And so I'm pretty excited to see 3 from Hell. I know it's going to be one of those movies that I'll sit there and go, what the hell was this? But I'll go, I had Rob Zombie and I liked it.
I'll agree with you up until Halloween, and he ruined my Halloween for me.
Oh, yeah.
What
I was a hardcore Halloween fan, and when I saw that, I was so excited.
Not 31. What was that? Salem.
Salem's Witch or something like
whatever that movie.
Yeah.
One of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I was really surprised because I actually liked the Halloween movies. Did you know Triple H was the killer in the first Halloween movie?
No, I didn't know that.
So there you go. He plays Michael Myers. Like, get on it.
Is the one that speaks, because that's what Michael Myers. But I'm not going to get into that. I remember watching House of a Thousand Corpses. That people talk about like other horror films that sort of change the genre. Like when you watch that for the first time, it is just messed up. Like it was. I'd not seen anything like that since like the 70s and 80s.
Every time I watch it, I just thank everything that the graphics are not what the graphics are today and things like that.
I don't know. It's pretty upsetting. And I watched it going, I love Walton Goggins. I'm going to love this film. He's the policeman at the end. And I was like, dang it.
And if you got the DVD, it's just Captain Spaulding on the menu, and they've shot a bunch of like B-roll, and he just basically talks in the entire thing. So I once fell asleep to it, and then wake up with Captain Spaulding, and I was like,
"Oh no, it's the worst experience ever!"
Yeah. And you get to see Dwight from The Office turned into a fish, which is it's always a good thing. So.
Oh yeah, they just do some weird. That's like the 3 from Hell. I'm so nervous. I'm like, Rob Zombie with today's technology and stuff is going to be pretty.
I'm surprised they let in today's atmosphere and environment. They've let Rob Zombie make a movie at all.
Yeah.
So
it'd be like a Serbian film again.
We talked about. Last week.
One Rob Zombie recommendation before we move on. If anyone gets a chance, jump on YouTube and watch Rob Zombie's episode of Cribs. It is amazing.
Really is there one?
It is amazing because his house is not like it's not a mansion. It's like an old estate that is exactly what you'd picture when you think of Rob Zombie's house.
I think it actually was owned by someone who died. I think it's like
it is
proper Cribs.
It's like a horror museum, and it's amazing.
And it's like it's weird. Rob Zombie's one of the only people that you kind of go, it's kind of weird. You get your daughter to do all these, but then you go, oh, it's kind of cute. They're into the same things. I like the same weird stuff. At least they're doing things together, making awful horror movies.
But it's funny, like him making movies, and even like after watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like Tarantino making movies, you wonder how long it's going to go for, like the sort of the old school versus the new school. So, yeah, time will tell. 3 from Hell comes out soon, is it?
Yeah,
October. Yeah.
So we'll either be traumatized or it'll be a good time. Either one.
Yeah.
So, before we run out of time this evening, tell us once again what you've got coming up and where people can check out your stuff.
So you can either head to my Instagram, which is just Blayze Williams, or the Miss Ink Beauty Australia Instagram, which is just Miss Ink Beauty _
Future Mr. Ink Beauty in the room
that's
right
it.
now.
And I've also got a website. It's just missinkbeauty.com. So you can find all the information about what will be on Saturday night. And like I said, we've got the top tattoo models from across the country, burlesque performers, multiple title holders around the place. Got actually one of our judges was one of the Sarah Jane Grey, most tattooed doctor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she's one of my judges, so she'll be there. The girl Tori that copped we've got a bunch of Daily Mail people here, they cop a bit from the Daily Mail. So my friend Tori will be there doing a bit of the social. So
I'm sure if I don't make it, I'll definitely like the photo.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So we'll have a lot on our Instagram story too. So I'll have a couple of girls that. Yeah, I think you'll like it. And yeah, we've got a bit of the lingerie swimwear round, so that should be a bit of fun.
I think I might come.
Yeah, I think you'd like it.
I like pageantry. That's
and
it.
It's just a spectacle.
Yeah.
And if you like Rob Zombie and you also like, sparkly nipple tassels, Vivian Von Coffin doing a burlesque routine to that would be up your alley.
Friend of the show.
Yeah. And Saskia Demur's doing her burlesque routine, and she also staples things to herself. So,
nice.
Yeah, if you like to be turned on but feel uncomfortable at the same time, she's
That's your motto.
Be sure to head along to the Family Fun event of the year this coming weekend. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your life with us. And be sure to come back on the podcast when we do Convoy. Have you ever seen that film?
No, I haven't.
It's a truckers movie.
I know. I need to watch. I'm so sheltered with. I'm very exposed in life, but sheltered in movies. But yeah, I'd love to come back. Thanks for having me.